Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, so I live streamed it on YouTube. How do I get it? Because it's on my view now. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay,
Can you
cool.
guys hear me?
Cool.
You're gonna have to mute the live stream though, otherwise it'll.
Yeah, I just got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ran into some trouble because Google likes to do the verification thing, and it was attached to Noah's phone. So I had to call Noah and I was like, enter this code. But we're all squared away now. I'll wait a couple more minutes and then we'll be ready to rock and roll, folks.
Nick, I'm digging the haircut.
Thank you. It's better to see without hair in my face. It had to grow on me a little bit. I didn't want to chop off the locks. But then when I looked at pictures of myself, I was like, who let me do that? I was like, who let me walk out of the house like that? Somebody just should have just snipped it.
Are you gonna keep it short from now on?
Probably.
Yeah, it's fair.
Hayden, just a quick question. Are you going to be our on-site contact the day of the retreat when we leave? Are you going to be the one managing transportation and checking in?
I was not aware that was on my list of responsibilities. But if you need me to be, I would love to figure out what the details of that is.
So, with transportation, we got an RFD request for, the vans already. So I think it's already being figured out.
So what I need is someone who is going to be on site managing contact with everybody that's supposed to be checking in for getting on the bus to head up to the retreat, taking attendance, collecting forms. You'll also have to share your phone number with me to give to the bus driver. But otherwise last year the chief of staff took on that responsibility. If you have someone else that you would rather take that, I can.
Yeah, I can do that. I don't mind. I think Carter got to the retreat late last year, so I don't know if she necessarily like took attendance to begin with, but yeah, I can do that. I don't mind.
Okay.
All righty, folks, I think we're going to get started. So with that, I'm calling the third session of the 52nd Senate. This is a special emergency session to fill the role of Housing Security Director that was vacated by Director Rosler. So we'll go ahead and go into the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll go ahead and move into the land acknowledgement. Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This is also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native tribes. We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU is founded as a land grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion, and significantly that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. This would be the time I'd move into swearing in of new senators or associate senators, but I don't believe that we have any at this point. So I'll move into beginning roll call. If your name is called, just unmute and say here. Speaker DeSalvo, present. Speaker Pro Tempore Caracero Perez, she's absent and excused. Parliamentarian Burge,
Present.
Officer Bukhari,
Present.
Senator Abdunabi, Senator Geiser, Senator Gabru, Senator Morgan, Senator Nguyen, I think it's pronounced Wynn, Senator Wynn, absent. Senator Pereira, Senator Ritter, Senator Sanchez, Senator Oker,
Present.
Senator Reese, let me click. Senator Rencher, she's excused. Oh, Chair Rencher, excuse me. Chair Trout,
Present.
Senator Melka,
I am present.
Senator Lowe, Senator Barron. Is there anyone's name I did not call?
I didn't hear mine.
Chair Athey. I think the reason for that is I already marked you present, but
All good, thanks.
consent agenda. Is there any dissent? Seeing none. Gallery input. Is there anyone from the gallery who wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to executive reports. Is there anyone from the executive branch that would like to report?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No
Hello,
problem.
everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rob Long. I use the He series. So just a few things. I'll try to keep this short. So I had a meeting with the faculty council yesterday with Sue Doe. Just kind of getting their input on the faculty council and what undergraduate representatives look like. So that was a good meeting, and I also talked to them about the resignation of Joyce and how they're reacting to it. I had a meeting with John Henderson yesterday as well regarding the student death process. I'm sure as a few of you know, former President Dixon created a tradition where we had a flag folding ceremony. Unfortunately, ROTC isn't here over the summer, so we're going to have to figure out a way to navigate that glitch in the process. I'm working with the SPIN project. Christian Dixon kind of passed this on to me in the transition report. So Parking and Transportation has a sort of like a contract with SPIN that they renew every year or so. And then it's basically scooter service. So I'm talking with them. And I'm also meeting with the Advanced Transportation Fee Advisory Board on Tuesday, July 5th regarding this project as well, and a few other things regarding infrastructure improvement around campus. I'm continuing talks with Jason Hewitt regarding the outdoor Wi-Fi project I'm working on. It's kind of the bigger project. So if we pursue it, it's going to be a kind of like a lot of effort and time. So I'm going to be talking with him extensively over the next month. I'm working with Calm Meditation right now. and also the health network. I've reached out to them to meet with them regarding this. I'd like to possibly do a subscription service for Calm this next year. So I reached out to a representative from Calm to meet up with them about it. For the presidential search committee, no major updates. The committee will select members on July 11th. I've reached out to the SCPS offices regarding representation from the students there. And then I have an upcoming meeting with interim president Rick Miranda on July 14th. Let me know if there's anything you want me to talk to him about. I'll be more than happy to mention it. I have a meeting with Jay Callahan regarding the CSU PD and the chief of police search. The chief of police over at the CSU PD is currently vacant, so they're doing a search for that. So I'm kind of wanting to get CSU PD's input on what they want to see out of the next chief. And then also I'm going to be talking to SCPS offices about that. Yesterday I met up with Tammy for contracts regarding the USA Today contract and the New York Times contract. New York Times contract is going to be signed, so that subscription service is going to be renewed. And then the USA Today contract, I'm kind of in the meeting, I kind of was torn on whether or not, and a little hesitant on whether or not the subscription service should be continued. That deadline is in August. There are a couple of things. So it kind of lacks statistical data in my opinion, and I don't necessarily know. I'm going to have to look into it a bit more to see what the utility of it would be. So if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them. And we're going to see this today, the exec bylaws have been revised after a couple of years of not being revised. So we're going to be presenting that today. And finally, I passed off onto my director of environmental affairs, Ken, the bee bill. A few years ago, there was a project done with the apiary club here on campus regarding expansion of beehives in CSU. So I'm working with Ken right now in the apiary club to see if we can continue that, because it's been a few years since we've done that, the bee bill. Those are my exec reports. I don't know if anyone else from the executive branch has anything to say, but that's all I have.
Is there anyone else from the executive branch that wishes to report? Seeing none, I guess we'll move into the presentation of the new executive bylaws. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And President Long, if you kind of want to maybe just run through some of the changes you made and kind of explain. I don't believe that these need ratification from the Senate. So this is more of like a presentation thing than anything else.
Yes, so this doesn't require ratification from the Senate. Let me pull them up here really quick.
Here, President Long, what I'll just give you screen sharing
Yeah,
privileges.
that's fine. Thank you. All right, can everyone see that? Okay,
Can you zoom way in so there are no margins, please?
yes.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Like all the way. Get rid of the margins completely if you can.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
How about that? All right, cool. All right, yeah, so like we said, not a lot of big changes, mostly a lot of clerical issues and name changes and title changes. Yeah, so like the vice president shall be elected. This is a appointed position by the president, so it doesn't have to. We were kind of confused why it had to go through Senate. Deputy Chief of Staff is now Secretary of State. This was a weird one, upper echelon of leadership. So we kind of changed that to Office of the President. We made a set time for cabinet meetings, 5 to 6 on Wednesdays. And then also we said at the beginning of each cabinet meeting, the land acknowledgement and the mission statement will be either read out in the full by the chief of staff or played on a video. Secretary of State takes cabinet meeting minutes and sent out to the appropriate people. And then chief of staff shall be made aware of all meetings held between the office of the president and all and departments within the executive branch. So if like the Department of Finance is meeting with the president and the vice president, chief of staff shall know about it. And then, so this is kind of one of the bigger additions to it. So each semester or each year, the directors shall make a presentation to Senate regarding their work, kind of to improve that transparency to Senate, and so that y'all know what we're doing over in exec. And then the section 4.5, that's all further outlined by the accountability clause. And then this is the accountability clause that's in all of executives' job descriptions. So the first failure is just like a basic written warning. The second failure is a warning sent to the advisors, and the third warning is a meeting with the individual. Those have been previously outlined in the job descriptions, but if you want to take a deeper look at it, I'd be more than happy to share it with you. That was deleted. Couple of name changes, and then we added the land acknowledgement and the mission statement at the bottom of the bylaws. So that's kind of that's kind of the what we've done with the exec bylaws. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Okay, seeing none, Mr. Speaker, yeah, I yield.
Thank you, President Long. Now, we would move into judicial reports, but there is not a representative from the judicial branch here. So now we'll move into our confidence business, beginning with the ratification of executive cabinet. This position was vacated. Director of Housing Security, and the candidate for that today is Noah Burge. So you'll get 5 minutes of presentation, 10 minutes of Q&A, and 20 minutes of discussion and debate on this candidate. So
point of information. So Director Rossler has technically not resigned yet. He will be resigning as soon as the fall semester starts. So because Director Rossler has work to do that he wants to do over the summer for the Director of Housing position, he's going to be staying on for the summer, but Noah will be taking over in the fall.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Mr. President. So with that, let me get a clock running. So now you can start whenever. Parliamentarian Burge, you're good to go.
All right. Hello, everyone. I know this is probably a little bit of a surprise, being that we've been in these positions for 2 months now or less. And I've had quite a few changes in my life over the last couple months, and a lot of time to think about what I want to see for myself, what's good for myself going forward, in ASCSU, at CSU, and all of that. And I was inclined to apply for this position when I saw it on Handshake, and I guess it's been up for a few months, but I had been pondering it. And I think the biggest thing that I noticed about this position that I really liked is that it fits within kind of a passion that I've had for a while. When I first showed up at CSU, when I first started attending CSU, I made some edits to like my LinkedIn page and some different things. I tried to kind of build a vision of what I wanted to see at CSU when I was done. And it was interesting because one of the things that I wrote in there was about housing security. And it was something that really hits deep for me, especially coming from like the Denver area. You see housing security becoming an increasingly bigger issue. I lived in California for a little while as well. And same thing there. Housing security is becoming a problem. Now with this position, it's mainly at CSU. And I think that's important for us to realize is that it's a mainly CSU issue. And there's students that are struggling and we don't see those students often. We don't recognize that they're, struggling with it. And, you see it in different fraternity and sororities. You see it in rentals, you see it in school housing. Students are being extorted for their, inability to pay or inability to, live on campus or something. And so I'm going to continue working to increase supply of housing on campus. I think that's really important for us. Also look at options to make housing more affordable. I think it's wrong that on-campus housing is more expensive than off-campus housing. That shouldn't happen. Like the fact that a student can move off campus and live for, a fraction of the cost, is sad. And also that the university forces students to live on campus for the first year. That's disappointing to me. And so that's something I'm going to work on. I also want to continue working on U+2. And I know we've talked about this. I know Director Rossler's worked very, very hard on this. I'm going to take a few different steps with U+2. And I'm going to try and build kind of a different plan of attack on it and see if we can build some sort of compromise with some city council officials and see if we can at least get something for CSU students out of that. I think we also need to look at how different policies in the city affect landlords, students, and the city as a government as a whole. If we put everything into balance, prices are going to stay down, supply is going to stay up, and I think overall it's going to be good for students. So that's going to be kind of my main focus, is really the full economy of housing. And I'm really excited for this position. When I jumped into parliamentarian, I was excited about it, but you as Senate deserve more. Me as an organizer, I'm more of a visionary than an organizer. And I think that there's other people in ASCSU and in CSU as a whole who can fulfill the position better than me. But that said, I'm really excited and really passionate about housing director or director of housing and housing security. It's something that I believe is a problem right now and something that's really manageable to remedy. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and thank you for hopping on today for a brief moment. So with that, I yield.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Burge. We'll now open it up for 10 minutes of Q&A. I guess just starting with the first raised thumbs up, or I guess you have the hand option on Zoom as well. Seeing none, I'll end the 10-minute period of Q&A. And we'll move into discussion and debate on this candidate. So no, I'm going to put you in a breakout room. Okay. And it should give you the option to go into the room. All right, so the period of discussion and debate is open, starting with the first raised hand. Chair Trout, you're recognized.
So this is kind of a question, but not really to Noah. If Noah is not going to be fulfilling this position until the fall, what was the urgency of having a summer session? I'll yield to whoever can answer that question.
Yeah, I can answer that question. So we felt that we wanted to get this role filled in as soon as possible, so that way Noah can see the work that Benton is doing right now. So that way he could, steadily transition into it. So by the fall, he's up and running and knows exactly what to do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answers it. I also see Chief of Staff is raising her hand, so I will also yield to you, Chief of Staff Deason.
Yeah, thanks. That's a good question. I think going off of what Rob said, not only so that we really have a solidified person in the fall, but also I don't know if y'all remember last year we had a little bit of an issue with Director of Diversity and Inclusion. We had a little bit of an issue with that person stepping back from the role last summer, and it not really being an equitable process for when the deputy stepped up in the fall. And so I think what we wanted to do is really nip that in the bud and make sure that we had this person as early as possible. We also, when we began this process, were not sure whether Benton was going to, Director Rossler was going to stay in his position for the summer. So I think that's why we wanted to get this done as quickly as possible. But I think the format in which or the path that we're taking right now is probably the most beneficial, so that Noah, should he get ratified, or Parliamentarian Burge, sorry, I forget the decorum, so that he can they can learn from each other before the fall begins. And so that was our reasoning for that. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Chief of Staff Deason and President Long. For that clarification, I yield back, Speaker.
Thank you, Chair Trout. Is there any other point of discussion debate?
I motion to previous question and make another motion for unanimous consent.
There's been a motion to previous question. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstentions? This motion passes. And pardon me, Chair Trout, your second motion was to approve this candidate with unanimous consent, correct?
Correct. So as long
Is
as
there-
there's no dissent, it passes.
Right. Or any dissent to that motion? Seeing none, Parliamentarian Burge is now Director Burge. So I'll pull him out of the breakout room.
Information really quick. Is he really Director Burge because he doesn't start the position until fall?
I guess Director Select, perhaps.
Sure.
Alrighty, I closed the. Oh, hello. So, funny story. Okay, there we go. I'm in a public library in Fort Worth, Texas right now, and oh, there you are, Noah. Okay, I won't continue with the story. So, congratulations, you have been confirmed. So now with that, we would be moving on to our Constitution Caucus report, but
I have a motion to make. I want to add the fight song at the end of the agenda.
there's been a motion to add the fight song to the agenda. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
The motion has been seconded. All those in favor of adding the fight song to the agenda say aye.
Aye. Aye.
So that's 2. All those opposed? Say
Nay.
I believe the nays have it. So unfortunately, that will not be added to the agenda, President Long. Moving on. I was going to ask for former parliamentarian Clark's assistance. I guess he's Chair Clark now since he chairs the Constitution Caucus, but I was informed he started a new job, so I wasn't gonna pull him away from that. So congrats to him. But there's no Constitution Caucus report today. We'll move into committee reports. Is there any report? Parliamentarian Director Select Burge.
So kind of I forgot to make this, can I make like a like point of clarification?
Sure.
So I forgot to mention this during my little spiel. So I would assume since Director Rossler's still Director Rossler and he's in that position, I can remain parliamentarian for what we need until he resigns. And however, I'll be doing different housing director things. I'll be making that transition with him. But that said, I can assist for the rest of the meeting today if needed.
Thank you. I guess I could still refer to you as parliamentarian Burge then. I appreciate that. Additionally, just kind of going off of that, this does mean that the role of parliamentarian needs to be filled. But as I explained in the email that I sent out, it's not really a super urgent thing until the fall when that transition period happens. So of course, if you're a senator and you're interested, feel free to look into it. But of course, we also need voting members in the Senate, not just officers. So consider that as well. We'll move into the Internal Affairs Committee report. Is there any committee report?
Yeah, I just want to say Internal Affairs will be having a committee meeting at some point in July. That has not been scheduled yet. The Poly, that's a new app that we're using currently in the Slack. So that is up in the Internal Affairs Slack if you would like to vote on when that meeting should be. It will be at some point in July because we need to look at the bylaws and those have to be passed in the first session of fall. So that's it. I yield.
Thank you, Chair Athey. We'll move into the Budgetary Affairs Committee report. Seeing that Chair Rencher is not here, we'll move on to University Affairs. Chair Trout, do you have a report?
Nothing to report. Come to Constitution Caucus into Internal Affairs Committee if you can. Thanks y'all for being here. I yield.
Thank you, Chair Trout. We'll move into legislative officer reports. Seeing, well, I guess we'll start with parliamentarian Burge. Do you have a report?
Not necessarily. I do. Well, actually, yeah, kind of. So, what I said earlier should have been in this, but if anyone's interested in parliamentarian, let me know, and also speak with former parliamentarian Clark. He's a wealth of knowledge, and in fact, he probably has quite a bit of like transfer report stuff for you. With that, I have some accounts under my name now, and I can work on transferring those when that time comes. So anyway, hope you all are having a good summer, and thanks.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Burge. I guess we'll move into Officer Bukhari. Do you have any report?
Nothing really to report. I hope you all having a great summer. I yield.
Thank you, Officer Bukhari. I really don't have too much to report. One of my main focuses, especially now, is making sure that in the fall we have a full Senate with more voting members than we have now. I think that's important to really set the tone for how this year's going to start within the legislative branch. Additionally, there's been conversations within branch leadership about the retreat and opening up the retreat to potential senators and potential members of the judicial branch. Now, what we mean by that is are folks who are not officially senators or not officially justices, but they're pretty darn sure that they want to be in that position, essentially. I think not only will it make the retreat more fun, but it will help so that not one branch is dominating, the entire retreat, and because it's important in building those relationships. So if we could have as many folks there from each branch, I think it's only a positive thing. Additionally, and it's been talked about today, it'll be talked about for hopefully only the next year, so we could get some action on it, but the U+2 situation and housing just generally. One of my main things was trying to look at it from a different perspective and possibly reaching out to the state level and seeing if we could get a bill passed there to where it completely bypasses the city of Fort Collins, who has really made it so that they aren't really going to budge on the issue. Chair Tratt, do you have a point of information? Or?
I do. So this last weekend, I was informed that there is an initiative to get affordable housing stuff on the ballot in November. I have the contact information for the person that I was talking to. And so she just seemed really excited to get student government. I told her that I would get as much people from ASCSU to help in any way, shape, or form. So if that's something that you were interested in, please reach out to me in whatever way, and I can get your contact information. It sounds like you'd have to go down to Denver to visit, but she might come up depending on how many people sign up for it. I'll keep you on the loop on that. But there are projects like that happening, and I want to get ASCSU involved in that with as much as possible. So let me know if you were interested, and I'll send you that information. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Trout. So as far as the state legislature goes, it's kind of a fickle situation because politicians have elections. And so you could establish a connection with a politician and get them on board with an initiative or something of that nature, and then they lose their election. So it's kind of a hopefully it happens type of thing where the connections that have been established with individuals are able to continue. But it's something that is entirely up to chance. Additionally, if you have any questions throughout the rest of the summer, reach out to me through email. I'll respond to you within a couple hours at the latest of business day. So that's really all I have for my report. We'll move into Senator and Associate Senator reports. Is there any senator who has something to report at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into ending roll call. Oh, 2 participants raised their hand. I guess, I don't know if it was Officer Bakari first or Chair Trout.
It was Officer Bakari.
Okay. Officer Bakari, you're recognized.
Hi, I just had a quick thing. Like if you know of anybody, like this goes to everybody, that is interested in participating in ASCSU, you can send them my way and I'll orient them with the resources necessary. I'm still learning about my role as a recruitment and retention officer, but I'd be happy to like fill them in with details or questions they might have and orient them to the right resources. So if you know like someone who's interested or like in the retreat too, I can orient them to the resources too. So I appreciate that. I yield.
Thank you, Officer Bakari. Chair Trout, you're recognized.
All right, so I would like to start off by saying that we do not operate within a bubble. What goes on in the world affects our students and affects us. If you or someone needs assistance during the times that we are in right now, the CSU Health Center, Women Gender Advocacy Center, and our Pride Resource Center are all resources that are available to our students, but us as well. So I wanted to point that out. These past few weeks have been life-altering for millions of Americans. Within the last few weeks, The Supreme Court has overturned Roe v. Wade, blurred the line of separation of church and state, and even ruled to have no consequences for law enforcement failing to read your Miranda rights. I want to focus on Roe v. Wade for a little bit and the consequences of this ruling. Now, feel how you will about that, but I'm not talking about just the fact that women have lost bodily autonomy, but also the beginning of the court's attack on the 14th Amendment. The too long didn't read version of the 14th Amendment is not only did it give formerly enslaved people citizenship, but also established that all people should have, quote, equal protection of the laws. When the decision of Roe v. Wade was made, they utilized the due process clause within this amendment. This clause prevents state governments from infringing on the right to privacy. This clause has been used for multiple other high-profile cases like Obergefell versus Hodges, which legalized gay marriage, Loving versus Virginia, which legalized interracial marriage, and Griswold v. Connecticut, which protects the use of contraception, and so many other ones. Justice Thomas has already stated in his opinion that these cases should be, quote, reevaluated. This is a bold and coarse attack on our constitutional rights as Americans and should be viewed as such. I urge members of this body to view these attacks as that they are, and while we cannot vote in SCOTUS judges, we can vote in senators who will hold this rogue court accountable. To conclude, it is our job to advocate for our students, and I refuse to be silent, and I urge y'all to not be silent as well. Thank you, I yield.
Thank you, Chair Trout. Chair Athey, I recognize.
Okay, I'm gonna lower my hand. There. First, I'd like to echo what Chair Trout has said. If you haven't already, please let his words soak in. In relation to that, July is Disability Pride Month. The ADA was passed on July 26th, 1990. So please consume content by the disabled community this month and every month. And especially in relation to the court taking away rights and increasing the danger, even already, to the disabled community, please continue to support and increase representation of my community. Thanks, I yield.
Thank you, Chair Athey. I'll now move into ending roll call. I will also entertain a motion, and this doesn't happen often, to use beginning roll call as ending roll call.
Motion to use beginning roll call as ending roll call.
Is there a second? There's been a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, everybody. This motion passes. And so with that, we will adjourn. Just keep some dates on your mind. The retreat is coming up sooner than we know it. And then we'll be back in Fort Collins doing this stuff in person. So that's something to look forward to. Thank you all so very much for being here. I can't thank you enough for your participation, and have a great rest of your summer. See you guys.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
You guys have a great summer, and yeah, thanks so much for everything. I'll see you guys soon.